Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the City Council of the City of Marysville today, Tuesday, September 3rd at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Buttacavoli.
Here.
Hudson.
Here.
Simmons. Vice Mayor McKenzie.
Here.
Mayor Samoya.
Here. Thank you. This time I'd like to ask everyone to stand and join me on the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to hand this to our city clerk. Any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor, we have a couple of administrative changes on your appointment for your ad hoc committee, Yuba Water Agency. The agenda does read correctly. The report was incorrectly noting Brad Hudson. And on item number 4, the appointment to the Marysville Cemetery Commission, we are going to add, pass a motion appointing to the Marysville Cemetery Commission, filling the seat previously held by Lucky Oyang. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. And that will be Eileen Schmidbauer.
Thank you. With that, let's, with those changes, we'll move to any closed session reports by our city attorney.
No such report.
Thank you. We have a presentation, Peach Festival update. Marty, do you want to introduce?
Yes, certainly. I'm happy to. As the council may recall, Sapphire Marketing Group this past year actually coordinated and produced the city's 20th annual Peach Festival, and Dee Dee and Carrie have come back from the Sapphire Marketing Group to give an update to the council and let you know the outcome of the event and money and all those good things that came out of that event. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dee Dee.
All right, just have a little wrap up for you. So we want to start off by thanking the council for your support. It was so helpful to be able to have all of you there. I shouldn't say just council and staff to help move us along with this. I know Stephanie, we were dragging her from corner to corner, having her interview with different news sources, and council member Buttacavoli did all of the entertainment where we didn't have to worry about any of it. And he and, I left my notes back there, Jennifer, Tim Stachinsky, really just, they took care of the stages. It was something that we never looked at again after, you know, getting in there and getting it initially set up. Thank you very much.
And made fools of ourselves eating pie.
And you did a very good job doing it.
Making a fool of myself.
So, do you have the click? Okay, good. We wanted to start out with the sponsorships. So in 2018, and I want to say first too on these numbers, these are as close as we know them. I'm going to say there's a margin of error in there because I'm sure there's some information we don't have. So there is a small margin of error. But in 2018, the sponsorships totaled $6,500. In 2019, and I know this one is correct, but the sponsorships totaled $17,250. That's the cash check, money order, whatever they would like to give us. And we also had in-kind dollars of $11,750. So we traded actually for a lot of expenses that in the past you had been paying out for. So saving money on the other side. So I think you all have a copy of this, right? So you have the cash increase of $10,750. Our vendors, we increased by a total of 26, and that's divided between the food and the craft vendors. They went up really on both sides, but the craft vendors especially, we had a big jump in. And in revenue, that came to almost $4,000 between 2018 and 2019. Sorry, we don't have this up here yet. We did a survey that we sent out to all of the vendors, both food and craft, and it's interesting, there was a big difference in some of the answers between a food vendor and a craft vendor. We've already had a wrap-up meeting where we've talked about what went well, what we could do better on, what we definitely need to change next year. And one of the things is the layout of the Peach Festival did not work really well for all the food vendors. So we need to make sure next year we take all of that into consideration and have all of those booths marked out specifically for those that need to be next to a curb. So we asked several questions on the survey. The first one was an overall rating, and as you can see in the food, very high between the very good, the excellent, and even in the good. A few fairs. Down at the bottom one is the craft vendors, and that was, very good, really zoomed past the others. Of these, the food vendor respondents, there were 16 of the 40 we sent out, and for the craft vendors, there were 30 of the 90 we sent out. So the next one, how organized was the event? Again, you can see scored very well between extremely organized and very organized, which I have to say this surprised me because there were times it did not feel very organized. But as long as we showed it, we made it look like it was, I guess that was good. How friendly was the staff? And I think from the comments, this also includes some of the police staff, Chris, because they were included in this, but there were some comments there. Returning vendors, we just asked the question, was the layout better or worse for you this year? And so you can see the difference on the food vendors. The highest is that it was worse than it's been for them in the past. But for the craft vendors, it was overwhelmingly better. So that's where I said we really have to kind of get a hybrid of this next year, I think, so that we can really get everybody into their proper places. So I know sometimes things feel better or worse, but to really quantify them, you get into the dollars. So we asked the question if it was more or less profitable than previous years. Surprisingly, it flipped. And although the food folks were not happy with it, they said they were more profitable. And just the opposite for the non-food vendors. They said, they really liked it, but also said they weren't as profitable. So, well, I guess they didn't say they weren't as profitable, but it wasn't by as high a margin as the food. So I thought that was pretty interesting. We had a couple of other questions as well that were just narratives, and I have a copy of that I can leave with you, Marty, if you'd like, and anybody that would like to read them. There's about 6 pages of comments, so we didn't think you wanted to go through them all one by one, but I can leave them here so that you can get copies of it. But we asked them what specifically they liked and what they specifically did not like, and there were a lot of good comments and many that we had already covered in our meeting. So then I just wanted to go over what our final budget was in here. If you remember back when we came in with the proposal, I think we had hoped to break even, and we actually did much better than that. So between 2018 and 2019, you had a swing of $25,000. You came out $10,000 ahead. Where in 2018 the city had gone in the whole 15. Now neither of these groups of numbers have like the city staff's time or any of that in them. So, but it turned out very well. Carrie and I were both saying like, I wish we'd had more entertainment now, or, not knowing, exactly where it was going to land in the end, but landed in a great place. We're very happy with that. We had a good time. I think most of the people did too. We've heard lots and lots of good comments. And we've had some people tell us, what they think we could do better, which is great. That's what will make us better. So we've been taking a lot of notes and have all of that recorded so that it can go forward even better than ever. Any questions?
Questions? Comments? Yes.
I'm so happy that you two took this on this year because you did a fabulous job. It was so much fun, and these numbers just show success as well. So thank you very much for a job well done.
Absolutely welcome. We enjoyed it too. Any others? Would you like us to give an overview of Christmas Parade? We
No, that's later on the agenda. Is that all right? If you hold
Yeah.
off? Okay.
Yeah, if you'd like us to wait, we can.
Yeah. I can tell you that I appreciate Councilmember Buttacawoli taking my place as the eating contest and the vice mayor.
As you should.
Doing all the media stuff, so thank you. But from what I heard, I think the only, there's a couple of things, nothing big, and I can just directly talk to you about them. There's nothing that is huge, and I think it's something we can learn from. So thank you so much for the hard work. I know you guys work tremendously
You're
hard.
welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. So we're going to move to a community and consent calendar forum. We invite individuals wishing to address the city council concerning consent calendar items or on matters not already in the agenda. We invite you to make oral comments of up to 3 minutes. When you're called, we ask you to please go to the podium, give your name clearly for audio recording. We request that you address your comments to the council and not to the audience. And we want to let you know that by state law, the council is not permitted to undertake any action or discussion on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. If you'd like a response from the council, we ask you please fill out a speaker's card and you'll be contacted within the next few days. Members of the public for comment? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move to, oh, sorry, hi. My Washington Eagle alumni.
My name is Judy Mann, and I reside at 11117 D Street, right in front of Ellis Lake. Honorable Mayor, City Council members, on behalf of the Mary Area Museum and the Focus on Marysville group, I would like to thank you for supporting the old-fashioned picnic this past weekend. It was a great day for a picnic. Over 100 people attended this event. I must say the sun was a little challenging, but with the shade coverage and the cold drinks, we all adapted to it. This weekend, it was nice to see families together at the historic Henry Delamere Island. A big thanks to all the different clubs and organizations who partnered together to bring families together to enjoy the food, games, music, and a bit of history. I invited a group of exchange students to help volunteer their time as a learning experience while they were here in the United States. It was amazing after the event that they came up to me and they stated they felt needed and wanted because they did assist. They learned a few things about our culture and fun times and history too. Many volunteers came forward. Without them or the sponsors, this event could not have happened. I personally want to thank the individual city council members who have thus far supported Marysville's history, and I thank the City Council for supporting this event. I hope you will continue to support all the historic-related events in the Yuba Sutter area. I personally want to thank Council Brad Hudson for coming forward and helping me in the past with the historic event, and the Marysville Fire Department for submitting some historic objects to the Mary Area Museum. On a personal note, I like to read something that I have made for each of you. My name is Mary, and I'm getting old. please do not neglect me. I see at times I am being ignored. My streets can no longer handle today's modern traffic. My name is Mary. I'm getting old. Please do not neglect me. I see my arches standing proudly to identify the historic district. My name is Mary. I'm getting old. Please do not neglect me. There's a grand lake in the middle of my town, and its lightened fountain showcases its beauty. My name is Mary. I'm getting old. Please do not neglect me. Let's not forget the many memories of families gathering together in the many parks. My name is Mary. I'm getting old. Please do not neglect me. Let's rediscover the beauty. Let's revive the history. My name is Mary. I am still alive. Please feel free to share all my stories. My town is full of memories of long ago. There's so much history, never to be forgotten. My name is Mary. I am alive. Please share all my stories. Today, all I need is tender care, fresh water, a facelift or two, then I will be good as new. My name is Mary, and I am turning 170 years old. Be kind to me.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to make a comment? Okay, seeing none, let's move to the consent calendar. All matters on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and are therefore approved by one motion unless a member of the council or the city manager first requests that a matter be removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion and action. What's the will of the council?
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by McKinsey, second by Hudson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion's approved with a vote of 5-0. Ooh, 4-0. So you're just saying 5. Let's move to discuss calendar. All matters in this section of the agenda are discussed and will be acted on individually. Members of the public may request to speak on any of these items for up to 3 minutes. We ask you when we ask for public comments, we ask you to please go to the podium and wait to be recognized. Then state your name clearly for the audio recording before beginning your comments. Let's move to item 8. This is a grant application for state revolving funds regarding state water treatment plant for our pond closures. Staff recommends that we pass a resolution approving the city manager as the authorized representative to execute a financial assistance application and accept funds for a financing agreement from the State Water Resource Control Board State Revolving Fund for the planning, design, construction of the WWTP Ponds Closure Project. Ms. City Manager.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you may recall, the city is under a state mandate to decommission its wastewater treatment ponds, especially after the Linda Main connection was completed late last November 2018. And so we're getting started on that project now. We are contracting with Bennett Engineering, and this evening to present this project and this funding effort is Stacy Lynch, a professional engineer and principal and vice president of Bennett Engineering.
Good evening, everybody. Like she said, I'm Stacy Lynch from Bennett Engineering. We are under contract to work with the city to help you decommission your wastewater treatment ponds. I think she summarized it a little bit more, but I'll go into a little bit more detail just to update you on what we're doing. In 2009, the city received a cease and desist order for their wastewater treatment plant due to permitting issues, and they contracted with Linda County Water Agency to transport the wastewater to Linda County Water Agency for treatment. And they still have a wastewater treatment plant that is there and needs to be decommissioned. The Regional Water Quality Control Board, who operates the city's permit, requires that. It's part of the cease and desist order is to decommission the ponds. There was some penalties issued recently that the city paid to handle some of those issues that they had with the regional board, and as part of that, they need to continue to progress with that project. So our project is to remove the sludge from the existing ponds, which is a normal occurrence of wastewater treatment, confirm that it's been removed, and sort of regrade that whole area. And they also require some reporting to the regional board to confirm that we did what we said we were going to do, and then they approve that. So that's what my contract is to do. We'll be doing some testing on site, soil sample testing with the drill rig here in the next few months to test the soil for contaminants and determine what depth the sludge is so that we can remove it, and then prepare improvement plans to go out to public bid and remove all of that. And then a big portion of our project, which is what's on the agenda today, is the funding for this project. We are planning to apply for a SRF grant and loan, state revolving fund, that is run by the State Water Resources Control Board. We're hoping to get a substantial, if not mostly paid for project through this grant. Anything that is not eligible or beyond the limit, which we will determine, will be at a low interest long-term loan, but we're hoping to get it all funded by grant. The resolution before you today is they require at the very beginning of applying for a loan that you assign an authorized representative, which is someone on staff that can sign for the application and negotiate a contract with them upon their approval. And so that's what the resolution is for. Any questions?
What's the amount do you think you'll probably be looking to?
It's yet to determine. One of the things we need to do is determine how much sludge is in the ponds, which we'll do in the next couple of months. I'm guessing $2 to $3 million for including design, funding application, and construction management, the whole shebang.
And is it pretty competitive, or are we going to be able? Are we pretty competitive in the sense our application is going to be seen favorable, or?
Yes. Competitive is probably not the right word. I think they grant it to anyone who applies. They have eligibility requirements, so you're kind of either eligible or you're not. It's not really a competitive. The SRF one is not really that competitive. They do have a pool of money which gets funded from various sources. Prop 1 is kind of the money that they have now, but if that goes away, then they have another federal funding measure that comes through usually.
Very good.
Yeah.
Just add some real quick. So Stacy, just to clarify, and correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't a portion of the up to approximately $6 million the city could be be eligible for grant funding versus a loan?
That's correct.
And or a hybrid of grant and loan. So there is a possibility that there won't be a loan, but
there's a high possibility that there will not be a loan.
Because we are
That's
a disadvantaged
correct.
community.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, the maximum from SRF for the wastewater section for disadvantaged communities is $6 million in a 5-year period.
Which is a large part of the reason why we're doing this, rather than trying not to rely solely on the wastewater treatment sewage fund, the enterprise fund. And since we have a high probability that we could get at least some grant monies, it made sense to put this effort in up front and try to secure this grant funding.
Yeah. And that, sorry to interrupt, that 5-year period for the $6 million is kind of allotted for the city. So if we spend $2 million or $3 million now on this project, you are still eligible for the remaining $3 million, depending on eligibility. We're still working on that. But you could do another project and hopefully get another grant for that remaining balance within the next 5 years.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
So, are you guys being also paid through that funding of that grant, or is there an upfront cost with you guys right now?
There will be an upfront cost. The process for the funding is you submit an application, which is a very lengthy process, which we're contracted to do. including, environmental documentation and technical reports and financial information, the city's financial information, audited financial statements and budgets and all kinds of stuff to submit. And then they review all of that, and then they issue it's called an ISA, initial sale agreement, and it's basically a draft funding agreement, and you're eligible to submit your soft costs at that point, and then once you get construction costs, then you could submit for the rest. So, and that usually is about hopefully less than a year before we can get that approved and soft costs submitted for reimbursement.
So we can get the upfront cost reimbursed through the grant? Is that what I'm
Yes, you
understanding?
can. Eventually,
Okay.
all of it will be reimbursable.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes, but there will be an upfront carrying cost on the city for probably about a year.
Do we have a number, Marty?
Or the carrying cost? No, it'll depend on how much we're able to, how much the project's finally gonna be budgeted for, right? Which you won't know until after you've done the testing.
Right, so the construction cost is highly dependent on the amount of sludge on site that we're gonna go test for and figure out and do some estimates.
Okay.
And then, but in total, probably about $3 million for the whole project. But we should be able to we will have our agreement in place before we start construction. And so we'll be able to submit those reimbursements monthly, once we get our agreement. And they should be, writing checks slowly, but they do write checks on a monthly basis to reimburse you for that. But there will be an upfront, all the soft costs, the engineering and planning and additional stuff like that upfront before we can submit for reimbursement.
So we will need to rely on the Enterprise Wastewater Treatment Fund for cash flow for fronting that reimbursable process, assuming we do secure the grant.
Yeah,
So-
for about a year.
And the grant's looking pretty decent for us because of the disadvantaged community and so forth.
That's
Based upon
correct.
your experience in doing this
That's
in the
correct,
past.
yes. Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
I've chatted with them a little bit about it, and they seem very favorable to get this going, and they didn't see any red flags immediately, so it's looking pretty good.
I mean, we gotta do it. I was just kind of educating myself in the process here. Thank you.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so in about a year, we will have construction documents ready to go to bid, maybe about a year and a half, and then we'll hopefully start construction in April of next year, so.
Thank you.
Are you doing don't we have to do quarterly reporting with are you also doing those reports, or are you doing?
I am.
Okay, wonderful.
For SRF,
Yeah,
yes,
No,
I'm
Do you
contracted to
mean
do
for the
that.
State Water
for the
Board?
State Water Board.
No, not for the State Water Board.
So there's quarterly reports required for funding. I think you're talking about Regional Water Quality Control Board reporting. That is not in my contract. For your existing permit.
Correct.
Right? I can help with that. I have some sort of assistance in my contract to help with reporting and coordination with the regional board. But I know there's a lot of issues going on with the permit that they're not in my contract, but I'm happy to help, and I do have some time allotted to help with that a little bit.
So there's a couple of different reporting things going on right now related to the State Water Board, and some of it the city engineer is helping me with right now, John Mallon, and some of it also our attorney that represents us before the State Water Board is also helping me right now while we don't have a Public Works and/or Community Development Director.
Okay.
And speaking of that, I just want to add one thing, is that I know you guys are short-staffed, and Marty has been excellent at helping me try to gather all this information, and she, doesn't have much help. So I just wanted to say thank you for doing all this stuff for me to get this going, and I know it's hard, so she's been doing a great job.
Yes, sir.
You probably know the answer to this. Is this a complete physical demolition of the ponds, or is this just an environmental cleanup of the ponds?
I think I know where you're going with that. So we talked about what it could be. I think initially we've always thought it would probably be, a total cleanup, which could be a demolition, basically. Do you mean the integrity of the actual walls? Yeah. So Stacy's familiar with members of the community that are interested in possibly creating some sort of a fishery or fish hatchery there, and we did maybe a month or two ago, we talked about, would it be possible to clean up the ponds while maintaining the integrity of the walls of the ponds? And if I recall correctly, Stacy said theoretically yes, but we're kind of not there yet in terms of understanding the full scope of the work. I mean, how deep is the sludge? How much are we gonna have to excavate to clean it up, those kinds of things.
My question, though, I guess, to be more clear, is in this 2 million that we're talking about roughly, I know it's 2 and up, would that be enough to include the complete demolition, or is that just enough to do the environmental cleanup part of it?
So typically
So
you,
not based on what we may or may not.
Right, I understand. Okay,
Based
now,
on
I see what you're
if we
saying.
were to take it out.
Well,
completely
it's the whole
demolish it.
project. It'll be the whole project. That's what we're
yeah, the
going for. That's
improvement
why we're up
plans,
to 6
the
million.
improvement plans for construction will be to remove all the sludge and regrade the site as we want it.
So that means removing the tanks, the walls, everything, the concrete. The sludge is all inside the concrete walls, right?
No, we're talking about the ponds.
Talking about
Oh,
the
just the
ponds.
ponds.
Yeah,
Yes,
sorry.
not the treatment plant.
Not the
So-
treatment plant.
Okay,
'Cause
so
we have a holding-
that's my question. Is any part of the treatment plant included in? That's probably a better way to ask it.
No, I don't think so.
It is
No,
not
just
current,
the ponds themselves.
Because we actually have an emergency holding pond at the wastewater treatment plant now that we have to maintain in the event of a stormwater event. And if things started flushing or flooding too quickly across the river, and Linda County said, hey, hold it, it's too much between
we still use
stormwater and
those.
sewage, we have to have an emergency holding pond, which we've built now. And that's at the wastewater treatment plant. So we do actually have to maintain that integrity of that piece of it. And that's really not what the State Water Board is interested in. They're interested in decommissioning the ponds out in the floodplains.
yes, and I haven't gone into the weeds on the actual treatment plant processes and all of that. That might be something that they require, and we'll have to talk with them about if we can leave that there or if they want it removed or what. And we can work that out with them and with you guys if you want to keep it for some reason. But your original comment was on the walls of the ponds, and I'm not
Misunderstood, Councilmember.
right.
Whitaker
But
Bowling,
just to clarify, the regional board will have a lot of say in what that looks like in the end, and we need to comply with what they're requiring, and there will be some negotiation, but they will have a lot of say. It won't be just the city saying this is what we're going to do.
Thank you. Great questions. Any other questions? Seeing none, I'd like to invite the public, if there's any comments on this item
Thank you.
from the public. Can you guys hear me? Sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, seeing no comments from the public, I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2019-45.
I make a motion to adopt.
Motion by Hudson, second by McKenzie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion is approved with a vote of 4-0. Thank you. Thank you. Let's move to item 9, resolution authorizing the city manager to execute agreement with Sapphire Marketing Group to produce 2019 Christmas parade. The recommendation from staff is to adopt the resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Sapphire Marketing Group to organize and produce the city of Marysville's 69th annual Christmas parade. Ms. Brown?
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. So the agenda item that's before you this evening is to approve a contract for executing and producing this year's Christmas parade. Last year in 2018, the police department did it, mainly Chief Sachs and Kelly Mincer. I never remember Kelly's title. So anyways, so it was really kind of a two-person show for the bulk of the Christmas parade, and it pretty much swamped them, and by the end of it, they needed a vacation. And so we just didn't think it was sustainable and we could keep doing this year to year and having the police department or any other department at this point producing an event of this magnitude. As I think you all know, the Christmas parade is a pretty big event in this town, and actually regionally, not just in Marysville. So after the success with the Peach Festival this year, we thought it'd be a good idea to tap Sapphire Marketing Group again and see what they could come up with for a proposal, which is what is here before you. And in a nutshell, basically between expenses and revenues, there's a delta of a little more than $2,000 that, as the staff report states, I'd be recommending we use a portion of monies that we have set aside in the Economic Development Fund that, right now we don't have a use or purpose for necessarily. After we get that community development director, I'm sure we will though. But for now, it's a relatively small amount of money, and so we thought that we would spend the additional funds out of the Economic Development Fund, and then the rest of it looks like, based on projections of expenses and revenues, will be pretty much a wash. So I think with that, unless there's specific questions for me right now, I'd ask Carrie and Dee Dee maybe to make a few comments again about their proposal for the Christmas parade this year.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, thank you for the opportunity to provide a proposal for the Marysville Christmas Parade. It was one of my favorite events to put on when I was with the city many years ago, and it seems to just be getting better and better. So it would be an honor to be a part of this year's event. In your proposal, there is a shortfall of just over $2,000, but you will see that part of that proposal includes a Marysville events website, that we can manage our own website. For Peach Festival, Christmas Parade, we can have a page for Bacchae, we can have a page for Veterans Parade, and provide information to the public on all the events going on in downtown Marysville. So if you take that into consideration, it's a really small amount of money that we're looking at.
Thank you for reminding me of that. I did mean to say something about that, which I think is great. We're really excited to have a central place where we could have all the city's events, not just the ones we produce and sponsor, but other community events like the old-fashioned picnic, for example.
And the website will be built on an online platform called Wix, and it's very easy to manage for anybody who has even built a Word document. So if you were to identify somebody on staff that you would like to begin managing events in the future, it is very easy to train on, very easy to manage. Right now, with the Peach Festival site, we're paying an outside source. It doesn't look great if you've looked at it. It could look so much better, but we just don't have a lot of control over it right now. So I think this will be a great move for the city. Are there any questions about the event itself?
Questions about proposal? Yes.
My question really was just about the website. So would it be connected to our city website, a link to that, or just part of the website?
It would be its own website, but we can provide, the link can go onto your website as well.
Okay. Yeah, because that would make sense for it to be, people to look there and be able to go, okay.
And be directed over, yes.
Yeah, nice, thank you.
Of course.
Any other questions? Comments from the public? So let's open it up for the councils. I have a bit of an issue with the website because we have a great website. And it already has a tab that says events. So I'm not sure why we don't use that already. Marty?
Yes, sorry. It's really, at this point, just a staff and capacity issue. There is actually not a single person responsible for the website at this time. Our former city clerk was responsible for some of it, but really it was just kind of on a maintenance update basis. And currently, right now, our administrative assistant is helping to manage it. But you raise a good point. We certainly could start doing that. The way it's set up now is we also have, for the main city website, a contractor that maintains the city's website, and so we issue, once a month changes. We try to keep them all together so that we don't use up our retainer fee with them too quickly, and then we usually submit once a month, a list of changes. So there's one, we have a couple people that have worked on coordinating that, but not as much really managing it. This, again, it's similar to the Peach Festival website, I would say, based on what Carrie just said. It isn't really a user-friendly, our website, in terms of somebody individually updating it. It does require some technical expertise, and that's why we use our contractor who originally built it. We can do very simple things like posting the packet or council meetings, or in-house that gets done, but anything that's any more complex than something like that simple, we actually have to issue a ticket to the website contractor to.
But is it more or less than $1,600 to do all that, additional? I mean, in a sense, we're spending an additional, you're adding $1,600 to the web. I guess for me, the look and the feel, the color, I'm looking at the website right now, and it does have the tabs, so, for events. There's actually a thing called event right there, there's a calendar and stuff, so.
Up till now, we haven't used it very much, so that's a good point. We could certainly start using that more. Our current, I think, annual fee with the contractor that built the website that does this maintenance work is somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 a year to do the work that they do for us, like those kinds of changes that we submit once a month if they're substantial. So we could feasibly certainly include that.
I mean, I and nothing against the police department, but I have an issue with having a separate PD website, right? That goes to separate things. It's like the look is different, the feel's different, right? It's
Yeah,
just so.
that was an issue when I first got here
Well,
too.
I think in my mind, we want to make sure we keep that same, look and feel that are currently with, which is a great website, and I think it's underused, and I think we should dedicate more time into it.
Okay. Certainly do that.
But that's just my
If
comment.
we're considering the new website, who would maintain that?
Well, probably, we hadn't gotten to that level of detail, but it'd probably be a partnership between one staff person and Sapphire Marketing Group, and then that's what I would
Couldn't we have
envision.
that same arrangement, only working off of our event page from our website?
Yeah, but I think again, we would be using our contractor, because if it gets any more complicated than posting a PDF, it actually, the technical background on the website that was built is, uses HTML and other coding, and that's why what we've been able to do as staff is just kind of very limited, like posting, so it'd be the same thing. I mean, it'd be like Carrie and Dee Dee saying, I want you to post this on, under events for the Peach Festival, and I would be turning around, or somebody at City Hall would, and we'd be giving it to that contractor that currently maintains it. Unless it's something as simple as, like I said, adding a link. That's one thing, but if you're gonna start adding photographs and wanting to move things around and you want it visually to look a certain way, that's something with our current website I would have to give to the contractor. So, yeah, I think it's certainly possible. We can certainly do it within our own website, for sure.
If I may, just the existing Peach Festival website, it was very cumbersome to communicate with that particular company and get live updates, like when we had the map ready, when we had the list of vendors ready, that kind of thing. It was very cumbersome to communicate and get those live, and sometimes it's like that last week we need something new put up every single day. So that was the thought behind having a Marysville events website, but it's really up to you.
Turnaround is not easy with our vendor either. I can't, that the packet we can do ourselves, and so we can do that quick turnaround and posting. But what you're talking about, if you want timely posting, I can't guarantee that with our current contractor, because I'm giving them a ticket, issuing it, could be 2 or 3 days.
I think there's a lot of obstacles. My whole thing is, there's probably a solution for those things. I don't know how hard they are, but this is just my opinion. I mean, I don't know if folks are thinking we can go for the entire proposal with the, with the additional website. I just like our website, and it's, in my mind, it's underused, and it could be more functional. And I think people like having the centralized, and maybe having the link make sense under events. So maybe pressing events goes directly to the event website. So that's the way it's linked, and finding a way that we can use the same colors and design style. So
I mean, the other option for the council would be to suspend spending money on the website tonight, and with taking that out of this proposal, and then I will explore exactly how we could make the events tab work and how timely it would work with our contractor, and figure out, and work with Sapphire on kind of what that look and how that could work. That would be another option.
let's go around. Vice Mayor, your thoughts?
I agree with what Marty just said about that. I think that would be a good idea to accept the proposal to do the parade for Sapphire Marketing, and then postpone the discussion about the website until we get more information, because I do like the look and feel of ours, and it would be nice if we could have some continuity in that. I don't know how that would work, but I think the more continuity in that, the better for our presentation. So I agree with that proposal.
Right.
I'm going to kind of reiterate the same, a little bit differently, is that I like our website. A lot of local businesses also partnership with hyperlinks into that website, so it's kind of nice to be able to have a tight group. I am interested in Sapphire doing this, but like Marty said, remove it, the website portion.
Bruce?
I think we need to put it off for tonight.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I think it's a bad idea that we do it that way. I think we just need to have a little bit of control of the look of it to make sure that it's extremely compatible with the cities, and that we have links from the cities to it and from it to the cities, so it at least looks and feels like an extension of what we already have, so we don't lose our look and our feel. But if it's a matter, the response time seems pretty important on these kind of issues, so, but to the point of moving forward, I think we should move forward and remove this for the moment, this part of the website.
So let's, I think we're pretty clear. I'd like to entertain a motion to, I think I gave the public opportunity to speak.
Did I miss it?
Yes.
Sorry.
You're good.
So why don't we approve this, this resolution, authorize the city manager to execute the agreement with Sapphire Marketing Group to produce the 2019 Christmas Parade event, and at this point not to include the website portion of their budget.
I'd like to make a motion to approve it as stated.
Motion by Mr. Hudson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bartolowoli. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved with a vote of 4-0. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move to item 10. I'm getting lost here. Item 10 is a grant application to Yuba Water Agency Bill Shaw Rescue Equipment and Training Grant Program. Recommendation from staff is to authorize the police department staff to submit the Yuba Water Agency Bill Shaw Rescue Equipment and Training Grant, and 2, approving the acceptance of this grant in the event the police department is awarded. This comes from our Chief of Police, Mr. Sachs. Sir?
Mr. Mayor, Honorable Council, yes, before you is 1, to pass a motion to authorize us to submit for the Bill Shaw grant, and then number 2 would be to approve the acceptance should we receive it. Last year in 2018, we applied for the Bill Shaw grant through the Yuba Water Agency, and were granted a $5,000 grant for our drone program, so we could watch the water side of the levee system and have up to, I think we're going to have 5 trained pilots for that at this point in time. This current grant award, they've actually doubled it this year to $10,000 that public safety agencies are available to obtain. With this grant specifically, we would be looking at getting a all-terrain vehicle with a medic rescue trailer that's attached to the back of it for any of the water rescues or any of anything to do with our river system and our low-lying river bottom area. So should we be awarded the grant, it would be a net positive of $10,000 to the police department budget, so there's no negative fiscal impact.
Thank you. Questions?
Through the chair.
Yes.
So Chief Sachs, are we saying that it would be the Marysville Police Department actively participating in EMS rescues of the river? Or is that in conjunction with the fire department?
With the fire department, so it'd just be another added tool that we would be able to have, because we do have, when we do evacuations during our slow rise flood or any of our other incidents down there, there is a need to have that medic trailer. It's a single person lay down trailer behind it with a quad runner to get into those tight spaces, just for people that are not necessarily having a medical aid either, but that are disabled that need to get help out of there. To any other multiple incidents, we could use it for mutual aid with the fire department and be an extra added resource to deploy. We also have our Department of Homeland Security grant that's coming up here in the next few months, authorization, and we're looking at a larger UTV that would have a paramedic or EMT that would be able to ride on the back of it for the same purpose. So just trying to be able to partner with the fire department a little bit more and add a little bit more resources during those times.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'd like to invite the public to speak on this matter. Seeing none, we'll move. So if any other comments from council members, what's the will of the council?
I will make a motion to authorize police department staff to submit for the Yuba Water Agency Bill Shaw Rescue Equipment and Training Grant, and approve the acceptance of the grant should the police department receive it.
Wonderful. There's a motion. Is there a second? Second. Motion and second. Motion is made by Ms. McKenzie and second by Mr. Baracaboli. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion's approved with a vote of 4-0. Thank you. Let's move to committee reports. Any committee reports? No committee reports. I think the only committee report that I have, as you know, in August, we were awarded by SACOG partial funding, $1.5 million to improve Fifth Street to move forward. I know they're working with our staff in making sure that we create a timeline that by the time the 2020 funding comes along, we'll be able to get the rest of the funding as long as we meet certain criteria. So we're pretty excited about that. Hopefully we'll get, I know staff is working with SACOG staff and communicating, making sure that we get that going as soon as we can. And the bridge looks amazing. I mean, how did they tear down the other side?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
But anyway, that's the only committee report I have. Any other? Seeing none, council correspondence?
We have none.
Thank you. I did deliver invitations to each one of the council members. Larry Booth at Franklin Booth is hosting a fundraiser in October. Hope all of you RSVP. So anyway, city manager's report.
I have no report.
No report?
Sorry, no. I communicate with you guys a lot.
Okay, council comments. Mr. Baracaboli.
I have no comments.
No comments? I don't even know who you are. Mr. Hudson?
I'd like to thank Judy Mann for all the work she puts into preservation of history of Marysville. It's pretty awesome. I was unfortunately unable to make it when you were at my establishment, but I heard a lot of good raves about it, and I just thank you for it.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
And I'll second that. Gratitude to Judy. And I did attend the old-fashioned picnic, and it was just a wonderful time out there, so relaxing. And so I'm glad that there were more people that came this year. And thank you for the poem that you read. That was just good. It was very good for us. I would like to say that I'm on the Arts Council board now, our city appointment there, and they're doing their annual fundraiser at J. Hire Farms. And so if you'd like a ticket, you can see me. They're $35, and it's September 21st. So that's the news.
It's beautiful
from the
out
arts.
there. You guys need to go.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. So that's it from me.
I don't have any comments. I took 2 days off on Thursday and Friday, and knowing that Monday was a holiday, and it was my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. But my wife asked me to paint a bathroom, and that turned into like a 3.5 day project. Cause I had to remove all kinds of pieces in the sink, and yeah, so I'm a little worn out by being, a honeydew list in there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it was a birthday ride.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what wore him out.
So let's move to closed session. We do invite folks from the public. If you want to make comments on closed session matters, it will be item 11, pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D1, workers' compensation settlement, 2 cases. And then item 12, pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.5B and 54956.8, Plumas Lake Golf Course update. Any members of the public like to comment before we move to closed session? Seeing none, we'll move to closed session. .32 p.m. and we'll move to adjournment to a regular meeting of City Council on September 17th at 6 p.m. Thank you, everyone.